Good Thursday morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. on this Thursday morning. Thank you so much for joining us for Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. Let's start with your top stories. We got a lot to get to today, so we're going to start right here in Charlotte, where Charlotte Hornets player LaMelo Ball was involved in an uptown crash that left one person hurt. That was on Wednesday. So the crash happened near intersection of Trade Street and North Tryon Street. A large SUV that appears to have suffered major damage was missing a left tire at the scene. It's not known if Ball was driving that SUV, but we have seen him getting out of the vehicle after that crash. So one person did suffer non-life-threatening injuries in that crash, according to medic, and officials have not confirmed what led up to the crash. They do actually have a game tonight against the Hornets. He is expected to play in that game, so we will continue to keep you updated on this developing story. Now let's head over to Buckingham Palace right now, where former Prince Andrew, he has been arrested. He's being arrested because of the scrutiny over Andrew's relationship with Epstein. It's been highlighted in recent weeks by releases of millions of Justice Department files related to the late disgraced financer. So it comes at a time that he was arrested Thursday, so this morning, on his birthday, actually. If you can remember, he was stripped of his royal title last year, and he was denied any wrongdoing. He has denied any wrongdoing in connection with his affiliate with Epstein. So we are also watching that. We're going to hear from the king a little later on this subject. But we're also watching some rain maybe in the forecast for your weekend. Yesterday I was wrong and I said it's going to be a beautiful day, majestic. And she was like, no, girl. It's
you
okay.
Were just trying to be optimistic.
I know.
Positive.
I'm an optimistic girl.
Did you think it was beautiful
You know
yesterday?
what? It got better.
Okay.
Later on, I felt like when I was walking the dogs.
Good.
So,
And it felt nice.
It felt nice. That's really what I need, majestic.
Yes.
I'm a simple girl.
The next 2 days, we have the possibility of seeing record warmth.
Okay.
So that's going to be the big story.
Great.
And then we're watching some weekend rain chances. So let's get to it. This morning, we're starting out the day again with quite a bit of cloud coverage out there. We're seeing that from the mountains to the city. You can see there in Blowing Rock area roadways. They're dry here. We have had a few very, very light sprinkles. Other than that, today is going to be actually a pretty nice one. Again, there's Blowing Rock. I've been seeing a couple of people walking around, drinking their coffee, going for their early morning walk. This is out there in Concord as we're looking at Charlotte Motor Speedway. At this point, we just have a ton of cloud coverage, and basically those clouds from last night, they're just still here. But remember, when you have clouds overnight after a pretty warm day, they help to keep those temperatures warm. So our low overnight, you may have noticed heading out the door that it really wasn't that cold. 59 degrees this morning. That's the coldest that we got. So about 60 degrees as you were perhaps waking up, getting off to work, sending those kids off to school. And overall yesterday, I mean, 68 degrees is what we were forecasting, and that's exactly what we hit. 68 degrees. We should be about 10 degrees cooler than this for this time of the year. And today, getting a little bit better. 74 is where we're forecasting our high to top off today, and I think generally we'll have a good mix of sun and clouds. One of those days where we start out the day with a whole lot of cloud coverage and then little sunshine as we head towards the afternoon and especially this evening. But near record highs today and tomorrow. Look at this. 74 degrees. That's what we're forecasting today. Our daily high record is 76 degrees today, and that was set back in 2014. So we're pretty close to it, but look at tomorrow. We have a pretty good chance of breaking that. Our daily record for tomorrow was set back in 2014 as well at 77 degrees, and we're forecasting 79, almost 80 degrees for our Friday forecast. So that's going to be the big story, the warmer weather, especially for this time of the year. Live camera look overlooking the beautiful Queen City. Again, we'll hold on to cloudy conditions this morning, helping to keep those temperatures pretty mild, and then gradually clearing skies as temperatures continue to get warmer and warmer, right around those low to mid 70s. It'll be a good day to have an outdoor recess for those kids, or maybe as they're coming home from school, send them outside to play. I always notice when it's so nice outside, there's tons of people on their bikes, tons of people out there walking their dogs, even a lot of people out on motorcycles. So make sure you're being very careful as they are going to be cruising around today. It'll be a good day for it. As we're looking at tomorrow, again, almost 80 degrees. That's going to be wild, and especially if we get a little sunshine, which that's what it seems like we're going to have by tomorrow afternoon. And then this weekend, rain chances return, but we're also watching for the possibility of some isolated storms as well. Here's satellite and radar. Of course, you can see some scattered showers. I mean, very, I don't even think I would call them scattered. At this point, it's basically spotty rain showers. Hardly anything coming down in our viewing area. But as you're looking at the Carolinas as a whole, all of the white indicating the clouds, the green of course just indicating a little bit of rain out there. We'll see all the clouds and the sprinkles continue to taper off to the east, and then the rest of our day it's going to be nice. Current temperatures right now, it's 9:07, 61 degrees here in Charlotte, 63 across Chirac, and even as we're looking up in the mountains, little cloud coverage out there, but mild temperatures with a mix of upper 40s and low 50 degree temperatures. So bottom line, we're starting out the day with comfortable conditions. And notice for our day planner today, holding on to cloudy conditions for the first half, and then by the time you're maybe picking up kids, heading home from work, whatever you may have planned for your Thursday evening, conditions are going to improve. Around 4 o'clock this afternoon, 72 degrees with partly sunny skies. Might even be a good night to find a patio and have some dinner outside. Now as we're looking up in the mountains, of course a little bit cooler, but still very mild temperatures for this time of the year. Upper 50s, almost 60 degrees today there in Banner Elk and Boone, 58 degrees as we're looking towards Fleetwood. And then across the foothills, mainly a mix of upper 60s to low 70 degrees. Pretty impressed with those temperatures there in Morganton, 71. The last couple of days have been so mild for you. In and around the Queen City, around 74 degrees today. Albemarle, much of the same. A little bit cooler up towards Statesville and Salisbury, but still 70 degrees, feeling good. And then across the Piedmont, we're looking at 74 in Lancaster and 76 in Chesterfield. So we know it's going to be a cloudy start to the day. Temperatures this morning are fine, but it's also going to be a little bit breezy as we're heading into the afternoon, similar to yesterday. And those winds will continue to move in from the southwest. And if you like warm weather, we like southwesterly winds because it helps to usher in the warmer air, and then our temperatures will respond to that. And that's why it's so warm outside. And then into tomorrow, remember, we're going to see even warmer temperatures, nearly 80 degrees. So tomorrow is going to be breezy as well. I would suspect that some of our winds will be capable of gusting around 20 to 25 miles an hour. A few of those isolated gusts up to around 30. So not incredibly windy, but if you're thinking, okay, you want to maybe get off work a little early on your Friday, head out to the golf course, I think it's be a great day to do that. A little breeze here and there, but honestly, upper 70s and sunshine sounds fantastic. Overnight temperatures tonight, again, staying so warm, 62 degrees for our low temperature tonight. That's even warmer than where we should be when we're looking at our average daytime high for this time of the year. So no need to really crank up your heat tonight. It is going to be warm even heading out the door tomorrow. So sending those kids off to school, no need for the big heavy jackets, similar as to what we saw today. And those widespread 70s returning tomorrow. Look at Chirac. Are you ready for that? 81 degrees. 78 as we're looking just south of us, as we're looking here in Charlotte, 79, even mid 70s for Hickory. So across the board, this seems like it's going to be a beautiful Friday. Again, we could see possibly a little rain earlier in the day, but by the time you have all your chores done, you have work done, the best part of our Friday, the weather should look really nice. Temperatures over the next 10 days, they look like this. So possible record warm today and tomorrow. And then as we're heading through Saturday, low 60-degree temperatures, notice the trend goes down. On Monday morning, that one's going to hurt. It's going to be cold early in the morning with a high of only 42 degrees. So it's just kind of that year, kind of a roller coaster of a weather forecast when we're looking at these fluctuating temperatures. So we have to enjoy the nice warm days while we have them. Let's talk about the rain chances now. 20% chance for rain today, much of the same for our Friday. So that means hardly any rain. I noticed a couple of sprinkles on my way into work early this morning, and that's about it. And then on Saturday, each day this week, we've been lessening our rain chances for Saturday, which in one regard, it's nice because, of course, it's the weekend. People probably want to do things outside. But in the other regard, of course, we still really need the rain, and we were kind of banking on Saturday to help with that. Small rain chances on Sunday, no rain Monday through Wednesday, but it seems like next week we'll have another pretty good opportunity for some rain showers. Futurecast looks like this. I told you by about 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, we'll have nice gradually clearing skies. I mean, sunny skies and temperatures into the 70s. Sounds fantastic. Tomorrow for our Friday, waking up cloudy and warm with mid 70s heading out the door tomorrow. Could we see some rain showers tomorrow? Remember, the chances are small, but they're not zero. So don't be surprised if all of a sudden we do have a couple of sprinkles out there. That's what we're watching for our Friday. And then Friday afternoon, again, looks great. I think Friday is going to be a good one. Saturday's a little tricky, though, because we still have warm conditions, but on Saturday, we will be watching to see if it's more than just rain that comes our way. If we get impacted by any storm potential. Now, we do have the threat of strong to severe thunderstorms really to the south of our viewing area in parts of South Carolina. We're kind of just on the cusp of seeing possibly a couple of our normal springtime thunderstorms. So if we do get that, this is what our models are indicating. This is 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. We could have a couple thunderstorms that could bring a brief heavy downpour, some lightning strikes, some gusty winds, that type of thing, but it's not going to last all day. So could we take the storms? I mean, we don't necessarily want the lightning because of how dry things are, but we could definitely use a good brief heavy downpour. Also, our Futurecast is showing that throughout the next several days, we're not getting a lot of rain. What we're seeing is maybe up to 1/4 of an inch, up to 1/2 of an inch for some, not a ton. And our drought monitor was just updated and released today. Remember, that's done every Thursday. And we've been talking about how critical it is that we actually get the rain because it is getting very, very dry. Still not seeing great improvements even after the rain that we did receive on Sunday. Most of the Carolinas under a severe drought, and even parts of us under an extreme drought, which is honestly kind of worst case scenario. We are really getting to the point where we desperately really need this rain. Here's our Jerry Hunt Super Center 7-day forecast. Again, we should be at 58 degrees this time of the year. That's the normal. If you're new to the Carolinas thinking that 70-degree temperatures towards the end of February is normal. It's not. We're just kind of warming things up for the next couple of days. Almost 80 degrees tomorrow. So if you love the warm weather, soak it up tomorrow. I think we could definitely break our high record for our Friday forecast. Scattered showers on Saturday, but it's not a washout. And it seems like any activity as far as showers go or even storms go, it would likely be for the first half of the day on Saturday. And then Monday, that's going to hurt. Megan, we're looking at almost 80 degrees tomorrow. And then Monday morning, heading out the door, 28 degrees. Tuesday morning will be 26. So that's going to be a big swing in those temperatures.
Yeah.
Yes. So don't put away your big heavy coat. Don't be getting too excited now.
I won't get too excited. I'll try not to.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Majestic.
Thank you, guys.
Keep it right here on Live Impact News. We'll be right back on WCNC Plus. Watching Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to head over to Washington, D.C., where the president is expected to speak. This is for the Board of Peace event. You can see J.D. Vance is right next to him. Oh, the camera's moving right now. But we're going to get to this in a moment and hear from the president talking about peace talks, especially for Gaza. So right now we are going to turn to another spot in D.C. where the White House Ballroom Commission of Fine Arts is talking about the executive office of the president, and they're going to be talking about the White House Ballroom and East Wing renovation. So we know that renovation is going on, and they're kind of looking over plans right now. So let's take a listen in.
Much more transparent, much lighter shading of green. So of course at the top we have the north elevation again. And again, I'd ask you just to note the amount of vegetation that there is around the ballroom there, just to the left of the White House. And then on the south, of course, we have the same thing. Next image, please. All right, now I'm going to show you a series of 7 renderings. And I'm going to be moving generally clockwise around the building to give you a sense of how this addition that we're proposing, this ballroom addition we're proposing, will be viewed by the public from different positions. And in each case here, with each rendering, you'll see in the lower right a small plan with a red arrow, and the red arrow indicates where the station point is, where you're standing in order to see this particular view in the rendering. Great, thank you. So here we are on Pennsylvania Avenue, looking pretty directly at the main portico of the White House. And off to the left there, you can see the two-story colonnade. And then, of course, beyond that, the ballroom structure on the east side. Let's go to the next one, please. So here we've moved inside the security line, inside the fence. There are trees behind us. But again, this gives you an oblique view of both the colonnade and the ballroom structure. And again, I would just ask you to note that we've very lightly shaded and shown the tree that would be directly on axis with this particular view. Let's go to the next one, please. Continuing around, we're now looking in the other direction, slightly to the west, southwest. And I think the main thing to notice here is that we, as I mentioned last time, we have developed this datum at the horizon line, at the roof line, where our balustrade matches the balustrade on the White House. And that line, you can think of it as a horizon line, as a primary horizon line, basically wraps around the entire project. On the White House, the only time that horizon line is exceeded is with the portico at the front there, and also with the roof that's just behind the trees there, that is slightly higher, several feet higher than the balustrade. And we've actually repeated that here in our building. The other thing I'd note about this, which is quite interesting, is that the balustrade on the north side of the White House has a slightly different configuration than the balustrade on the other three sides of the White House. There's just a different cadence in the balusters versus the solid portions. And we've chosen to repeat that. You can see that somewhat clearly here, the balustrade at the top of our building on the left. And if you were to look at it very, very closely, you would see in working drawings that there's a slight difference in the cadence of the balusters as one moves around the building. So as is the case in the White House, we've configured the balustrade just slightly differently on the north than on the other three elevations. Now, on this slide, you're starting to see the side elevation of the portico, which will serve as the primary entrance for the public. And if we could go to the next image, please. Here you have, of course, a much clearer view of that. Again, I just out the continuation of that horizon elevation with the balustrade, continuing all the way around. And of course, here you're also starting to get a view on the far left, which is the south side of the project, of the area that Mr. Lupke mentioned, where we removed the pediment. The arched windows in the middle relate to the ballroom in the center of the structure. Next, please. You can also see the grade dropping as we move around here. It's fairly clear. So here's a fairly direct view looking to the northwest. And again, the primary change here, of course, has been the elimination of the pediment. The president has agreed to do that, and we still have the terrace there, which is just slightly below the elevation of the ballroom, with the stair spilling down to the lawn. And in the distance there, you can see the EEOB, and on the far right, you get just a glimpse of the south elevation of the Treasury. One thing I'd ask you to note here also is the rusticated base below the arched windows. We actually, that is an element that you see currently at the base of the White House. It's an ashlar rusticated base, and we're continuing that all the way around. And shortly, I'll show you one change we made on the west elevation related to the base. Next, please. So here we are looking directly at the west elevation of the ballroom, and two changes. Actually, there's three changes here. Of course, starting with the elimination of the pediment on the upper right-hand corner there. We also added one arched window. The one on the far left is a new window. That had more of a solid wall treatment with a punched window before. And I think it'll be a little clear in the elevation. I'll show you shortly why we did that. But the main reason for doing that is that it really simplified this overall elevation. Before, there was a reading of 4 elements across this elevation. You had the reading of the portico on the right-hand side with the columns. Then you had the center, which is bookended with the arched windows. And then the north and read as 2 separate parts. So in order to simplify that and reduce this to a reading of 3 elements, we added the arched windows, the arched window on the left, and basically reduced the length of that solid wall just behind the tree. The other change we made here, which will also be clear on an elevation I'll show you shortly, is that we changed the elevation at the base of the building where it meets the lawn underneath the terrace. In our previous scheme, we continued the ashlar rustication all the way around, and we treated the windows basically as punched openings in a wall. The reason we changed that is because on the base of the colonnade, we have a lighter treatment that looks exactly like this with that supports the terrace. And we felt that it would read much better, it would be simpler to take that same reading and wrap it all around the base of the terrace. So you basically have a consistent reading of the elevation of the wall directly below the terrace, both on the west side that we're looking at here, as on the south side of the colonnade. As we work on these projects, we generally try to rationalize things and make them simpler in terms of their reading, and I think we've been able to accomplish that here. Next, please. Here's another view where you get perhaps a slightly clearer reading of the relationship of the terrace there at the base of the ballroom as it wraps around to the south side of the colonnade. Next, please. Here we have 2 floor plans, the lower level on the left, and as you might recall from our last presentation, that stairway that you see on the right-hand side of the left elevation is the main entry point for the public and for the ballroom. You enter a series of rooms with a grand stair that takes you up into the hall on the right-hand side, which is the upper level. There's a foyer, there's a grand stair, and all of that leads into the ballroom. Of course, as well as the colonnade coming directly from the east room along that corridor past that stair that also leads into the main foyer and into the ballroom. And on the lower part of this elevation, of course, you see the terrace there with the columns, and that is the area where we removed the pediment. Next, please. So here we have the elevations of the ballroom, and in the upper one, the only change there, the primary change there, I should say, is the removal of the pediment on the far left. And then in the lower elevation, which is the west elevation, again, you can see the revision to the base below the terrace, and you can also see the additional window that we added, an arched window that we added on the far left. So those 9 arched windows are bookended by these 2 solid bays, with each one has a rectangular punched window in that wall. And then on the far left of that elevation, we have a slight recess just to the left of that punched window. We have a very narrow, it's about 2 feet wide and about 4 inches deep. And that's where we make the transition to a language that carries around to the north side of the ballroom structure, which of course uses the same language as we have on the north side of the primary central pavilion here, which is the White House. Next, please. On the top here, we have the north elevation, and we've cut this section right at the face of the building. I should note here that you really don't see the base of this two-story colonnade because the grade just in front of this, about 10 feet out, rises to almost to the top of those arches. That grade is low here because there's an existing service drive, and it's used as a primary delivery point for the White House. And by adding a new delivery point on the south side of our new structure, we'll be able to, we won't be eliminating the service drive, but it'll be used much less frequently as a result of the additional drive we have on the south side. And then, of course, yes, the arrows you see there, it's just the one on the right, not the one on the left, that will be used for deliveries. Let's go to.
You're watching Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to take a 2-minute break, but keep it right here. We've got lots going on for you today on this beautiful Thursday, so keep it right here. Welcome back to Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. Time now is 9:30. Thank you so much for staying with us on WCNC Plus and watching us. We got a lot going on today, so keep it right here. Keep that TV on and just, enjoy the local news and the news that we're bringing you around the world. Right now, we are going to transition a little bit to our health because right now plasma is in critical demand. It is so important to get people to donate, and we are going to be joined by Patrick James Lynch. He's actually a hemophilia patient himself, an award-winning filmmaker, and he's actually partnering with BioLife to help educate and raise awareness about plasma and how important it is to continue to donate. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us.
Megan, thank you for having me. It's an honor to talk about plasma with you and your audience today.
Okay, so let's talk about the need for plasma right now. I know it is in critical demand, but what are some things that, as you are partnering with BioLife, some things that you guys are seeing?
Yeah, so the demand is up because we are diagnosing more people with things like hemophilia, which I have, primary immune deficiency, and other serious conditions that in some cases can only be treated by a plasma-derived medicine. So the need has never been greater. It's wonderful that we're diagnosing people and connecting them to the care they need, but without the medicine to supply them we are falling short. So as you mentioned, the need for plasma donation has never been greater. And Megan, you may know this, plasma can't be manufactured. So the only way plasma is obtained is through the generosity of plasma donors.
Can you explain to our audience what hemophilia is and kind of how many people around the world or in our country have this?
Sure. So hemophilia is a bleeding disorder in which one of the proteins involved in the clotting or coagulation process, my body doesn't naturally produce it. So as a child, for example, I was dependent upon plasma-derived medications to stay alive and thrive. In the United States, there are about 25,000 people who have been identified with hemophilia A or B. And around the world, we estimate that there are about 400,000 people with hemophilia. But I'll also mention that there's about 1.2 million Americans and about 16.5 million people around the world who depend on plasma-derived medicines. So hemophilia is only one of many serious conditions that requires plasma-derived medicines.
I do want to tell our audience too, I've given plasma plenty of times. It is not scary at all. Actually, they make it super comfortable for you. And you can also get some money from it as well. So do you want to talk about the process of giving plasma a little bit and how, people, if they are maybe afraid, it's not a scary thing?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And thank you for your generosity. I am here today because of people like you, Megan. So thank you. It's not scary. It's similar to a blood donation, which many people are more familiar with, maybe more comfortable with, where you would go in and you would get a health exam on a first visit, be screened by a medical professional to ensure that you are healthy and capable of making the donation. And then you would go through the plasma donation process itself. It's about a 2-hour commitment the first time because there is that introductory exam and questionnaire part of the process. And then subsequent visits take about an hour. As you said, it isn't a scary process, and studies have shown that it's about as safe as a blood donation. So again, if your audience is more comfortable or familiar with that, that can be a helpful point of reference.
And just telling everybody who's watching in Charlotte, we do have a couple locations right here in Charlotte to donate. So if you want to do that, it is, it helps a lot of people. And like you said, it is safe. And they also make it very, very comfortable for you. So how can people get involved and donate? What's the best way you think is to do this?
The simplest way to learn more and to find a donation center near you is to visit biolifeplasma.com. There's more information about the process itself, as well as information about donor centers near you.
Awesome. Patrick, thank you so much for joining us and talking about this really important topic. We appreciate you.
Megan, I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day.
Likewise.
Okay, we're going to keep it right here on WCNC Plus, but when we come back, we're expected to hear from President Trump from that Board of Peace Summit that we are going to head back to. So keep it right here on WCNC Plus. You're watching Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. It is Thursday around 9:38. We're going to send it over to Washington, D.C., where President Trump is speaking on the Board of Peace event right now, talking about different things and work sessions to hammer out peace and reconstruction plans, and some for both organizations and an ambitious reconstruction projects for Gaza. So let's take a listen in.
World Cup has set every single ticket record in the history of soccer. In the history, nobody's ever seen anything like it. The sales are virtually complete. Nobody's ever seen anything. So congratulations, you made a good decision. We did it together. Thank you, Johnny. Great guy. So I want to thank the many leaders and dignitaries who have traveled great distances and lengths for the important gathering that we're at right now. This building was built for peace, and nobody knew what to name it. And then Marco named it after me. I had nothing to do with it. I swear I didn't. I swear. I had no idea. They said, there's a surprise coming. I didn't know that surprise. I thought they were going to give me a lot of money or something, maybe cash. Could always use some extra cash. But I came, and they stopped the beautiful beast. I got out very safely, I'm sure, and looked up, and there it said, Donald J. Trump on the building. And when I say that had nothing to do, nobody believes it, and that's okay. But I appreciated it. That was Marco and JD and a group got together, and they did that, and I just thought it was very nice. And it makes me work harder. We're going to have to work harder. We're going to have to make this building much more important. It's brand new. They built it for peace, but nobody occupied it. Nobody knew what the purpose of it. But the architecture is so beautiful, and it was with the meeting rooms, the reception rooms. It's really amazing. Who would think that it was built without anybody in mind or anything in mind? And then the State Department took it over. They liked it. Marco came over one day. He saw this. He said, "This building is great," and he actually claimed it. Right? He claimed it. And that's what he does. Where is Marco? I said, Marco, is that true? You claimed this building. You took it away from about 5 groups that wanted it. That was done very quickly, very methodically. But it was really, really built so beautifully and such a beautiful building. But we worked together to ensure the brighter future for the people of Gaza, the Middle East, and the entire world. I think that the Board of Peace, because it's mostly leaders and unbelievably respected people, but mostly leaders of Middle Eastern countries, countries from all over the world. And they've been very generous with money also. And the United States, which I'll say in a moment, is also very generous with money because there's nothing more important than peace. And there's nothing less expensive than peace. When you go to wars, it costs you 100 times what it costs to make peace. And we have a man at the end right there that's smiling because you learned that after 30 years of fighting, right? 30 years of fighting, we got it done. I want to thank you very much. That was a great thing you did. You and your new friend, they came to my office and they said, I've been fighting for 22 years. Now you're there for 23 years, right? But I've been fighting for 22 years. That's all I've done is fight this gentleman. And his counterpart was there for 7 years. He said, I've been there for 7 years. All I've done is fight this gentleman. And we had it worked out in about 24 hours, right? And it's been a good piece. And I think they've become friends. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that, but I think so. I think they've become friends, right? Right? Great. Stand up. Stand up. These are 2 tough cookies, too. You think that was easy? It wasn't easy. These are 2 tough people, good people, but tough people. But, we're in the Oval Office, and we were getting near. But the one was at one side of the room. I have 2 chairs right in front of the desk, the beautiful, resolute desk. One's over here. One's on the other side of the room. I said, fellas, could you get a little closer? Well, I don't know. They felt very uncomfortable. They've been killing each other for 32 years. So I say, can you get a little closer? After 1 hour, they were right next to each other. We made a deal. They hugged, they signed, and we had peace with 2 very important countries, and I'll never forget it. So they started off a little weak, and they ended up really strong, and you can be very proud of yourselves. It was a beautiful thing to see. Thank you. Look at that. Do you believe it? 32 years. Thank you. Thank you very much. But we're honored to be joined today by Prime Minister Rama of Albania. Where is President Milei? You're another one, I'll tell you. Where is President Milei? I endorsed him. I'm not supposed to be endorsing people, but I endorse, when I like people, I've had a very good record of endorsing candidates within the United States. But now I endorse foreign leaders, including Viktor Orban, who's here, and others. And I endorse this gentleman, Milei. He was a little behind in the polls. He ended up winning in a landslide. I just endorsed the Prime Minister of Japan. She was in a tight race, but was probably going to win. And she won in the largest number in the history of Japan. So she likes me a lot. But it was an honor, and you're doing great. Oh, look, they're sitting right next, Victor. But ultimately, I think I'm going to end up endorsing. Hey, look, as long as it works, it's okay with me. But the endorsement seems to be working in foreign countries, too, so that's good. But nice to have you both. Victor, nice to have you both. Very proud of you. The Prime Minister of another, really just a great guy, Pashinyan of Armenia. President Aliyev of Azerbaijan. I love saying that name now. At the beginning, it was giving me a hard time. Now I love saying it. It's a beautiful name. I love it. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa of Bahrain. Bahrain. Thank you. Thank you. Where are you? Where are you? He's so rich, he can sit there. He can sit wherever the hell he wants. He could sit up in the corner. He could sit up top. He might take a piece of this building, Marco. He'll take 25% of the building for about $6 billion. Thank you. And you've been very generous also. We appreciate it. Prime Minister Hun Manet of Cambodia. Raise your hand wherever you may be. Because, hi, how are you? Congratulations. That was another one, right? We did a good job with that one. Prime Minister Madbouli of Egypt. Thank you very much, and say hello to the General/President. Okay. Prime Minister Orban of Hungary, who has my complete and total endorsement for election. Not everybody in Europe loves that endorsement, but that's okay. He does an unbelievable job. He's done an incredible job on immigration, unlike some countries that have hurt themselves, but they're working on it. But I just want to let you know, you have my total and complete endorsement, and I'm putting it out. I already did, but I'm putting it out again. And you're coming up with an election, and I think you should be good. I'll tell you, Milei did pretty well. He was a little down, right? And then he ended up winning in a landslide, so that's pretty good. You're going to do great, Victor. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. You run a great country. A man that I really like a lot he's definitely tough. I don't want to fight him. President Prabowo of Indonesia. Thank you very much. Please. This is a big guy. I tell you, I said, how many people in Indonesia? He said, like 240 million. I said, no, say it again. How many? It's a big country you have. And you do a great job and respected by everybody. And thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, Mr. President. President Tokayev of Kazakhstan, thank you very much. What a country that is. It's a wonderful country and a rich country, in case anybody has any question. We have some very rich people here today. President Osmani of Kosovo. President, thank you very much. Great job you're doing, too. Thank you very much. Prime Minister Sharif, I like this man, of Pakistan, because there was some fighting going on when I got to know him, and your Field Marshal, General, great general, great Field Marshal, a great guy. And I got to meet the Prime Minister. And he said in front of our Chief of Staff, Susie Wells, who's right here, he said, nobody knows this, but I believe that President Trump saved 25 million lives when he stopped the war between us and India, right? You made that statement. I said 25 million lives. Could have been much more, actually. But it was really a beautiful thing. You said that in front of a group of people they walked out. They don't think about it, but you're talking about that kind of lives. That war was raging. Planes were being shot down, right? And it was Pakistan and India. And I got on the phone with both of them, and I knew them a little bit. I knew Prime Minister Modi very well, actually. But I got to know Pakistan through a little trade. They were trying to make too good a deal, and I got a little upset with them. And in the end, they got what they wanted, right? And they made a good deal. And I got to like them, the Prime Minister, and the Field Marshal, who's a tough man, a tough, good fighter, right? Good, serious fighter. I like good fighters, actually. And when I heard that they were fighting, I picked up a certain newspaper. I won't tell you which one, because it's fake news generally. But I picked up this newspaper, and I saw that Pakistan and India were really going at it. And then it got worse and worse, and many planes were shot down. It was all out. And I called them, and I said, listen, I'm not doing trade deals with you two guys if you don't settle this up. They said, no, that has both of them. They didn't want to do that. I said, no, it has to. If you don't do it, I'm not doing a trade deal. We're not doing a trade deal. And they do a lot of business with the United States, and they sort of softened up all of a sudden. Then all of a sudden I read where there was a little bit of a pullback by one, then the other, and all of a sudden we worked out a deal, right? But I said, if you fight, I'm going to put 200% tariffs on each of your countries, which essentially makes you not allowed, you can't do any business. And one of them, I won't say which one, said, no, you can't do that. They both wanted to fight. But when it came to money, it's not like money. When it came to losing a lot of money, they said, I guess we don't want to fight. And we solved that deal in 2-3 days, right? And we did. We said, these are two very powerful nations. These are two nuclear nations. And I don't want to say what was going to happen, but, bad things happen. So, Prime Minister, I want to thank you, because that was a very big deal. People have no idea. A lot of them say, oh, well, they weren't fighting. They were fighting. 11 jets were shot down, very expensive jets. And they were all in. Both of them were all in, and now they're not. And I think we'll always be able to settle up with them. I really do. I think you're going to have, it's a lot of progress was made even in the relationship. And Prime Minister Modi also, he's a great man. He's a great guy. They're all great. But I was very proud of it. President Pena of Paraguay is here. President, thank you very much. Young, handsome guy. It's always nice to be young and handsome. Doesn't mean we have to like you. I don't like young, handsome men. Women, I like. Men, no, I don't have any interest. Good. That's right. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job, too. His Excellency Prime Minister Al Thani of Qatar, just a great man, a great man and highly respected. And he's working with a man who is amazing. I always say he needs a public relations agency, because you do so much good and they have you down as evil. And you're not evil. You help us so much, and you're such a good ally. And I just want people to know that. And the Emir is incredible, smart as you can be, a great leader. And he cares so much for the people. And he cares so much for the Middle East. So I want to thank you very much and send my regards. Your country has been a great help. So, surprising to some of the people writing out there, but now they'll start changing their tune, because it's true. I only tell the truth. Prime Minister Don of Romania, wonderful people. The Romanian people are fantastic people, like you're fantastic. And a lot of them come and work in this country and help us in this country, as you know, and it's they are just really solid people. President Mirziyoyev of Uzbekistan, who is where? There he is, and a friend of mine. He's got one of the most difficult names in history, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Your country's doing great. You're doing great. And just no problems. Every time I see him, nope, we're doing good. No problems. And General Secretary To Lam of Vietnam. Vietnam is incredible as a country and as a force. And it's an honor to have you. A really great honor to have you. A lot of respect. A lot of respect for your country. We also want to express my gratitude to Vice President J.D. Vance, who is a fantastic man. He's a fantastic talent. He was a great student. He went to one school. He graduated. You know, most people, if you watch some of the people that were at the event in Munich, they didn't graduate quickly from college. They had everything they could do. There was one young, attractive woman. She was unable to answer questions. And she didn't do so well like J.D. did in college. J.D. graduated in a 4.5-year college in 2 years. And then he went to Yale and he graduated at the top of his class, went to the military grade. But when he went to Yale, there was one person that was marginally ahead of him, so he married her. Can you believe it? He married the person that was ahead. I don't know. I always like to say J.D. was first and Usha was second, because I get a little uncomfortable when I say that. But he's been incredible. He's a brilliant guy and a great guy, and he's been my friend. All of our people, we have a fantastic group of people, our cabinet members, everybody, many of them here. But J.D.'s been great. Thank you very much. He gets a little bit tough on occasion. We've got to slow him down just a little bit on occasion. He says his mind. Now, then we have the opposite extreme. We have your friend sitting in the back. Your best friend sitting in the back is Marco. Marco does it with a velvet glove, but it's a kill, right? The result is the same. They do it very differently. And Marco, you really did yourself proud 2 days ago in Munich. In fact, so proud that I almost terminated his employ because they were saying, why can't Trump do this? I do, but I say it differently. But Marco, don't do any better than you did, please. Because if you do, you're out of here. But no, I want my guys to do great. And the acclaim he's gotten and the acclaim J.D. gets is great. We have smart people. And when you see the representatives there, like Gavin Newsom, he didn't know what he was doing. They didn't even know why. He didn't know why he was there. Or AOC, she was unable to answer a simple question. And she could have said, well, I'm studying it, and I'll report back to you next week. You know, you can get away with that. But she just went, it's actually, I think it could be a career-ending answer, because for 25 years, anybody running against her, I think Susie is going to use that little piece of stuff. It was not good. It was not good. That was not a natural. So I want to thank J.D. I want to thank Secretary of State Marco Rubio. They're extraordinary. I want to thank Special Envoy for Peace, Steve Witkoff, who has been unbelievable. You know, I took Steve because I was a developer in New York, really successful, actually much more successful than Steve, but I don't want to say that. I'm not going to say that, Johnny. I refuse to say it. But I saw something in Steve. Steve's a great negotiator. Everybody loved him. All these developers, and they're tough. You know, New York developers tend to be on the tough side. And, you know, most of them hate each other. Like a lot of the people in this room hate each other. You know, it's sort of natural, I guess. But we're bringing love back into the room like the old days. But everybody loves Steve. Every developer, the worst, most evil people, horrible human beings, actually. And they love Steve. So I remember this, and we had some conflicts, to put it mildly, in the world. And I said, Steve, how would you like to be Henry Kissinger Jr. that doesn't leak? And he said, are you a leaker, Steve? No. He didn't even know what the word meant. And it's true. I always say Henry Kissinger, who was one of the great leakers of all time, by the way, Richard Nixon said to him, Henry, who's leaking all this stuff? I don't know, Mr. President. It was Henry. It was like, these are little stories I like telling you. But Steve has been unbelievable. Everybody likes him. Ukraine loves him. Europe loves him. Russia loves him. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. He goes to see President Putin. Didn't know Putin. I set him up a meeting to see I said, how's Steve doing? Sir, he's still inside. Oh, that was an hour. I called back, tell Steve to call me when he's finished. I want to find out what the hell is going on. We want to end that war. Sir, he's still inside. 3 hours, 4 hours. They were together for 4 hours, the first meeting. That's talent. And they get along. I mean, people like or don't like Putin or Zelensky. They get along. Same thing with Zelensky. I mean, they all love Steve, and Steve's doing a great job. That's a tough one. That's a much tougher one. I would have thought that some of the ones that we settled that are up here would have been, I thought this would be easy because I have a very good relationship with President Putin. I have a very good relationship with President Xi. I'm going to be going to China in April. That's going to be a wild one. I said, but we have to put on the biggest display you've ever had in the history of China. You know, last time I went to China, President Xi, he treated me so well. He gave me a display. I never saw so many soldiers all the same height, exactly the same height within a quarter of an inch. You can do that when you have 1.4 billion people, you know. Lots of shoulders. Everybody was within about 1/8 of an inch the same height. I said, if they put their helmets down, you could have played pool on the top of their heads. And it was pretty amazing. But I said, you got to top it. He said, I'll top it. We're going to top it. We're going to have a lot of the people, most of the fake news back there is going to be going. So we have, Steve has done a great job. And then a little bit later on, we brought Jared in. Jared was responsible for the Abraham Accords, which is incredible. Nobody else could have done that. A very smart guy. And we're making Jared an envoy also, envoy of peace. They're both envoys of peace. And you couldn't get two. I tell you what, I watch these two guys. I say, at least we're covered from an IQ standpoint. These two guys walk into a room. And but people like them both, you know, they're good.
We're going to take a quick break right here on Live Impact News. But when we come back, we'll continue to watch that Board of Peace event where President Trump is speaking right now. So stay right here on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. Happy Thursday, everybody. We're going to go back to Washington, D.C. right now, where President Trump is speaking at a Board of Peace event. So let's take a listen in.
Well, as you know, with you could say Israel and numerous countries if you want to really know the truth, but Israel and Iran, and we'll see where that goes. But when you think of Israel, we've done the biggest thing of all. We have peace in the Middle East right now. That's bigger than People said it couldn't be done. For 3,000 years, they've been talking about Middle East. They said it couldn't be done. And you look at what's happened in Gaza. And one of the keys to it was when we took those beautiful, magnificent, we just ordered 22 more of them, updated model. The B-2 bombers are incredible. I never understood the B-2 bomber. I'd watch, it's a wing. And I've never quite understood that, Johnny. I'd look at it, I'd say it was beautiful, but what does it do? It carries very big bombs. And it went into Iran, and it totally decimated the nuclear potential. And when it did, when it decimated that, all of a sudden we had peace in the Middle East, because there was a black cloud hanging over the Middle East, and if that wasn't done, that cloud would have been there. And countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like Qatar, countries like, nobody could have signed. You would have had that threat. Nobody could have had, you couldn't have had peace in the Middle East. So now we may have to take it a step further, or we may not. Maybe we're going to make a deal. You're going to be finding out over the next probably 10 days. But this meeting today is proof with determined leadership, nothing is impossible. When I took office, the war in Gaza was raging with thousands of people being killed and no end in sight. Today, thanks to unrelenting diplomacy and the commitment of many of the great people in this room, we have 59 countries signed up on Gaza. Think of that. We have, it's amazing. But all the people, many, really so many in this room, the war in Gaza is over. It's over. There are little flames, little flames. Hamas has been, I think they're going to give up their weapons, which is what they promised. If they don't, it'll be, they'll be harshly met, very harshly met. They don't want that. All the stuff like they don't mind dying. They told me that's not true. Everyone said, oh, they don't mind dying. No, they don't want to die. They said, we don't want to die. People don't want to die. The ceasefire was held, and every last remaining hostage, both living and dead, has been returned back home. Think of that. That was an impossibility. And we did hundreds of hostages, but the last 20, and I always said to Steve and Jared, I said, the last 20 are going to be very tough, very, very tough. And we got them back. We got the living back, and then we only got about 16 of the dead, and we said, well, you got to get them all. You promised them all. And they dug and dug and dug. You can imagine it's a job that's brutal. And Hamas really did a lot of that work. And you got to give them credit for that. They brought the last one home a week ago, and we got all 28 of them, living and dead. The amazing thing, because I've never seen anything quite like it, the parents of the dead, they knew their boy was dead. This case, boys, all boys. Men, but to the parents' boys. They knew their boy was dead. They wanted that dead body as much as if he were alive. And when they got them back, there was great sadness, but there was great joy, too. They wanted it as much as the people that got their sons back alive. But we got a lot of people before those 20, Steve, what nobody talks about, but, hundreds of people. We did a good job, and you guys did a fantastic job. I want to thank every nation that helped us achieve this monumental breakthrough, saving countless lives, and really bringing peace and bringing the concept of peace, because nobody thought peace in the Middle East. I've always heard peace in the Middle East is impossible, and it's turned out not to be. And we do have some work to do with Iran. They can't have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. You can't have peace in the Middle East if they have a nuclear weapon. And they can't have a nuclear weapon, and they've been told that very strongly. Since the hard-won ceasefire of last October, the United States and our partners have facilitated the delivery of vast amounts of humanitarian aid, numbers that nobody's ever seen before. In November, the United Nations Security Council unanimously approved the Board of Peace. And last month in Davos, we welcomed over 24 members to this very important new organization. And we are very closely working with the United Nations. In fact, I'm going to speak to the Secretary General in a little while. He's a good man. And I've had a good relationship. Other than in my last speech, they did turn off my teleprompter. I got up there. My teleprompter didn't work. I'm sitting in front of all of you people and more. I had no teleprompter. I knew I was in trouble because I'm walking up. You know, the teleprompters are over here. I had the most beautiful speech ready. Yeah, I was all set to knock him dead. First, I had an escalator that stopped. You know that. It's going up. Boom. It's lucky my movie star first lady was in front of me because I put my hand on a certain part of her body and I was able to stop my fall. Otherwise, because she had no trouble, I said, boy, that was a very sharp stop, Johnny. So I said, that was strange. I've been on a lot of escalators. It's never happened before. Usually it stops very slowly. This was just boom. But our first lady was right in the proper location for me. I'm waving to people, and she was holding on a little tighter. She knew what was happening. She did. She said, that's a very successful movie out right now, like #1. Can you believe this? And it's a big movie star. And I always say it's trouble because I always say there's not room in one family for 2 stars. I told her that we can't have 2 stars in one family. So I don't know what that means, but it's not good. But it is good because we're proud of her. She did people in the United States love the First Lady, and she did the movie, and it's become the biggest selling documentary in 20 years. Can you believe? The theaters are all packed. Women especially, they go back and they see it 2 or 3 times, 4 times. But together we're committed to achieving a Gaza that is properly governed throughout. The whole area is going to be, you know, so many countries that have really nothing to do with the Middle East, but they're maybe somewhat close by. They're all involved. They want to go in and fight. They tell me all the time, we'd like to send soldiers to fight if it's necessary. And I don't think it's going to be necessary. We have 2 countries that want to go in and do a number on Hamas. I said, I really don't think I hope it's not going to be necessary because they made a promise and they promised me get rid of their weapons. Looks like they're going to be doing that, but we'll have to find out. But it's no longer a hotbed of radicalism and terror. And to end that, we have today, and I'm pleased to announce that Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, UAE, Morocco, Bahrain, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Uzbekistan, and Kuwait have all contributed more than $7 billion toward the relief package. That's great. Thank you, fellas. Thank you. And many more are contributing too. So the numbers are, you know, this just started. This is our first meeting. But every dollar spent is an investment in stability and the hope of new and harmonious. It's a region that's so important, it's so vibrant, it's so incredible. The people are so incredible, but we want to have a harmonious Middle East. The Middle East is amazing. So many friends in the Middle East, they're so smart. Sometimes they're too energetic. That's the, you know, a lot of people aren't energetic. Sometimes they're a little bit too energetic. These are great people. The world is now waiting on Hamas, and that's taking place, and it's the only thing that's right now standing in the way. We have Lebanon with certain things that we're working on that are very important. We have to solve the problem of Lebanon, but it's relatively small in terms of what's been done. And again, the key was getting rid of the nuclear potential because Iran would have had a nuclear weapon based on everything we found out since within 1 month. We can't let that happen. So many of our friends in Europe are attending today, and we're eager to have them become full members. They all want to become full members, and we've had a great response from Europe. And Europe is, you know, it's where I come from, where so many people come from that are in the United States. But we have a great relationship with Europe. We have a great head of NATO. He is a fantastic man, and he's doing a great job, really great job. I'm excited to announce that Norway has agreed to host an event bringing together the Board of Peace. Oh, I thought when I saw this note, I'm excited to announce that Norway, I thought they were going to say that they're giving me the Nobel Prize. Oh, this is less exciting. Oh, it says, I'm excited to announce that Norway, and I'm saying, oh, great, I'm getting the Nobel Prize, finally. Finally, they got it right. but I don't care. I don't care about Nobel Prize. I care about saving lives, just so you understand. We play and we all, do what we have to do. I only have one thing. I don't want to see people killed from parts of the world that are very far away from the United States. And if I have an ability to turn off wars, I want to use that ability because it's people, millions of people. It's like the Prime Minister said, 25 million people maybe. And that's a small number compared to what it could have been if you really think about it, right? No, I want to save lives, and I don't care about prizes. In the UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Assistance is raising $2 billion for the support of Gaza. Additionally, Japan has just committed to host an aid fundraiser, which would be a very big one. It's already successful. We know some of the numbers that are being talked about, which will be attended by other nations in the region, including South Korea, the Philippines, Singapore, and others. And I know that China is going to be involved, and I think Russia is going to be involved. I think they will be. I want to have everybody, get all sides, because it doesn't help when you have all sides with one ideology. You have to have everybody together for this. I'm also pleased to announce that FIFA will be helping to raise a total of $75 million for projects in Gaza. And I think they're soccer related, where you're doing fields and you're getting the greatest stars in the world to go there. And people that are bigger stars than you and I, Johnny. I hate to say it. I met one of your great stars who came to the White House, as you know. And my son was very excited. These are great people. These are great people. And Johnny's going to bring the stars to the area. And they're really known. People in Gaza know every one of them, right? So it's really something. And we'll soon be detailing the announcement. And if I can I'll get over there with you. I want to thank Johnny and FIFA for all of the wonderful things.
You're watching Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. Time now is 10:15. We're going to take a 2-minute break, but we're going to head back to Washington, where this Board of Peace event is going on after the break. So stick right here on WCNC Plus. Happy Thursday. You're watching Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to head back over to Washington, D.C., where President Trump is speaking right now at the Board of Peace event. So let's take a listen in.
Is proving that it does not just convene countries. It devises and implements, and real solutions happen. We've come up with solutions. This is so little talk. This is very little talk, all action. First time, it was always talk in the Middle East. People would talk about peace in the Middle East, and then they'd go home and they'd never even think about it again. Nothing would happen. We're providing a model for how responsible sovereign nations can cooperate to take responsibility for confronting problems in their own regions. The Board of Peace is showing how a better future can be built, starting right here in this room. And I want to let you know that the United States is going to make a contribution of $10 billion to the Board of Peace. Thank you. And we've had great support for that number. And that number is a very small number when you look at that compared to the cost of war. That's 2 weeks of fighting. It's a very small number. It sounds like a lot, but it's a very small number. So we're committed to $10 billion. Together we can achieve the dream of bringing lasting harmony to a region tortured by centuries of war, suffering, and carnage. They say 3,000 years. And hopefully we can lift up the eyes of the world to envision how other intractable conflicts can be settled. So many conflicts, they say, are impossible to settle, and we get them settled. We got, of those 8 that we settled, most of them were said to be not settlable. And they not only got settled, they got settled within days. More impossible problems can be solved as we go along this very beautiful path. I think it's a beautiful path. I think it's such an important day. Even the weather's beautiful. We walk in, it's beautiful. Everything's beautiful. But the ancient wounds can be healed, and they are indeed ancient. This has been going on for so many centuries that our entire planet will be a better, safer, more beautiful, and more peaceful place for us all. We're going to be working with the United Nations very closely. We're going to bring them back. I think the United Nations has great potential, really great potential. It has not lived up to potential. The 8 wars, I never even spoke to them about one of them, and I should be speaking to them about all of them. Someday I won't be here. The United Nations will be, I think, is going to be much stronger. The Board of Peace is going to almost be looking over the United Nations and making sure it runs properly. But we're going to strengthen up the United Nations. We're going to make sure its facilities are good. They need help, and they need help money-wise. We're going to help them money-wise. And we're going to make sure the United Nations is viable. And you have some very good people at the United Nations, can do a good job. But as I said, I've said it for years, United Nations has tremendous potential. A lot of people didn't like when I said it. They said, oh, you shouldn't say that because, you know, we don't care about the United Nations. No, it's really very important, and I think it's going to eventually live up to potential. That'll be a big day. So I want to thank everybody for being here. You're my friends. You're great leaders. You're great people. And I can honestly say, you know, you're strong leaders, you're tough leaders in many cases, and every single one that I'm looking at that's right here, I've gotten to know and I've gotten to respect, and really you're friends of mine. And if I can help you at all, you let me know. But this is going to be something, the Board of Peace will be something that, the likes of which I don't think anybody's seen before. And thank you all very much. It's a great honor. I'm going to ask J.D. Vance to come up and say a few words. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, very much for your leadership, but also for the kind words about me personally. I knew exactly what I wanted to say, but then after the President said that I was so smart and that I didn't want to repeat our Congresswoman who froze for 20 seconds over in Munich, now I'm tempted, sir, just to freeze for 20 seconds and just stare at the cameras, and maybe they'll say nice things about me like they do about Congresswoman Cortez. But I have 3 very brief messages. First of all, to the President of the United States, but to the entire team, to Marco, to Steve, to Jared in particular, who've done such an incredible job. I think what this Board of Peace represents is a recognition that if you actually have a President of the United States and a team that's committed to diplomacy, it can actually work. When I look at what happened to Israel on October the 7th, all those innocent people who were murdered, the fact that you had all of these hostages, and of course, a terrible war that came from it, I remember thinking to myself, how is it ever going to be possible to get these hostages home safely, to make it possible for the people of Gaza to actually have a reasonable future, but also to ensure that Israel is never attacked again? It turns out the answer was you just needed a president who was committed to the effort and committed to the work, and that's what we had, thankfully, under the leadership of this president. And you got to make peace, but then you have to make the peace stick. And that brings me to my second point. That's what the Board of Peace, I think, is fundamentally about, is making the peace stick. And it's an incredible thing that you guys have all done. So to all of the leaders gathered here today who are investing in the future, who are investing in peace, we're grateful to you. We're grateful for your partnership. And in particular, I think to the president of Azerbaijan and the prime minister of Armenia, who I just saw last week, thank you all for making it possible and for showing what real leadership can accomplish. When you set aside weapons and killing and destruction and invest in your people and invest in prosperity, it can create great things. So thank you both for what you did. I think it showed great leadership. And finally, to the American people, I think it's important that the American people recognize why we're here today. And the reason that we're here today is, yes, to save lives and yes, to promote peace, but this creates incredible prosperity for the American people. The countries represented here represent trillions of dollars of investment in the United States of America that would not have been possible without this president's leadership and advocacy for peace. The economies here represent millions of American jobs of people who are receiving products built in American factories and made by American workers would not be possible without a focus on peace. So, Mr. President, while I think this is great for the world, I also think it's really, really great for the United States of America. So we're looking forward to the partnership. With that, I want to turn it over to the MC for the rest of the program, and that is our great press secretary, Carolyn Levitt. Thank you.
Well, congratulations, Mr. President and Mr. Vice President, for convening the first ever Board of Peace meeting, and we will now hear from our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio.
I'll be brief and to the point. We want to talk a little bit about the strategic vision of this organization and begin doing so by first acknowledging that we are here today because the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has both an ability and a willingness to use the power of his office to think outside the box. And that's why we're here today. This was a very unique crisis in Gaza, one that the existing international institutions could not solve or figure out. It needed a very specific type solution that required the partnership of all the nations that are here, including those that are here on an observer status. And we appreciate you coming today and being a part of this as well. And that's the point I want to drive home today. And soon you'll hear from Steve and Jared, who, by the way, deserve an incredible amount of credit for pulling this together and working countless hours and traveling all over the world. They truly deserve our appreciation and thanks for the work they've put in under the leadership of President Trump to make this possible. This Gaza situation was impossible to solve under orthodoxy, under existing structures. And so what we did is they went to the UN and they got the UN's approval to put this group together and bring these nations together to come up with a very specific solutions to a very unique and specific problem. We have a long ways to go. There's a lot of work that remains. It will require the contribution of every nation state represented here today, and we thank you for being a part of it. And we hope that this can serve as a model for other complex and difficult situations so they can be solved in the same way. But right now the focus is on this one. We have to get this right. There is no plan B for Gaza. Plan B is going back to war. No one here wants that. Plan A, the only path forward, is one that rebuilds Gaza in a way of enduring and sustainable peace, where everyone can live there side by side with one another and never worry again about returning to conflict, to war, to human suffering, and to destruction. And again, Mr. President, thank you for having the vision and the courage to pursue something that has never been done before, and we're not done yet. And thank you to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for the time and the work they put into this. And thank you on behalf of the State Department and the U.S. government to all of the nations that are here. Every one of you is indispensable, including our observer partners, who we hope can find your way to join us at some point as officially part of this. But we are grateful for the fact you're here today and the contributions you've made already. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. We will now hear from our special envoy, Steve Witkoff.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I don't know if we ever believed that this was possible when we first started envisioning a a board of peace, but of course under the president's indispensable leadership, and it begins with that. It begins with President Trump's leadership and his direction. We are here today, and it's pretty amazing. I think we have some people to thank. We had an amazing partnership between the mediating countries, Qatar, Egypt, Turkey, Prime Minister Mohammed. You are an exceptional human being. You really are. Ali, thank you for everything you did. That's you right over there, Ali. Wherever Hakan is, Hakan, you were amazing. And so was Ibrahim and President Erdogan. And of course, to the Egyptians, Badr, I know you're smiling because we went through so much. And General Hassan was amazing. We all became friends here. And Prime Minister Sisi, President Sisi, pardon me, and so many others. But our team, JD, your insight, your counsel, and Marco, you're an amazing secretary, and it's a privilege to work for you. And Jared, you are my dear friend and the best partner I ever had. You are an amazing person. But Mr. President, it is my greatest honor to work for you. It is the blessing in my life. I've had many blessings. I don't have to be a practicing lawyer anymore, but this is my greatest blessing. But I also have to mention one other person who is important to this discussion. Oh, the Israelis, I forgot. Prime Minister Netanyahu. Without him, much wouldn't have been accomplished as well. And that's really important that we acknowledge him here today, and Ron Dermer. But a person who doesn't care much about the acclaim we have to acknowledge too, and that's you, Susie. Because I would come back and you would say to me on every trip, what can I do for you? This matters. And you are an inspiration for all of us. So I thank everybody, and let me get on to, am I going on to the next slide?
Sure.
Caroline?
Sure.
Okay. So with regard to the hostages, we're here today, again, I say it, I know it sounds redundant, but we're here today because of President Trump. Without him, none of this was possible. There were 251 hostages. 168 came out alive. 83 bodies were returned to their families so that they could grieve and remember their loved ones like in a normal way. In a way that brought their families together. So that was just as important. This was a monumental effort, and I want to tell a story about the president. Every time a hostage family came to visit with us, they were not on the president's schedule. I would walk down to the Oval Office, I would tell the president that there was a hostage family here, and he would say, Steve, bring them up. Every single time. Mm-hmm. And when we got the last 20 out, we had a celebration at the White House, and I could see the emotion on the president's face. And he came up to me and he said to me, I have to tell you, this is my 5th year in the Oval Office, and I don't know that I've ever had a more special time than this moment with these people, seeing them come home. And I said to the president, you have to look around because none of them would be home without you, sir. None of them. So I only want to tell you, Mr. President, you gave me my greatest honor to work on this effort, and I thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Now you're going to hear directly from the team that has been tasked with implementing President Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, beginning with our ambassador to the United Nations, Mike Waltz.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. President, Excellencies. First, let me wish everyone a happy and prayerful Ramadan. Thank you so much for joining all of us today. Mr. President, Excellencies, bottom line, humanitarian.
We are watching that Board of Peace event. Lots of different leaders there talking today. So super important. We are keeping track of that. But we're going to take a quick 2-minute break here right on Live Impact News. But keep it with us on WCNC Plus. Happy Thursday, everybody. You're watching Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thursday. We almost made it to Friday, so keep it there, you guys. We're almost there. We're going to head on back to Washington, D.C., where they are having this Board of Peace summit right now. So let's take a listen in. Different countries are speaking right now.
Our priorities, therefore, are defined into 4 categories. First, restore security via professional civilian police under one authority, one law, and one weapon, including training and developing 5,000 Gazan police to be deployed in 60 days. Secondly, revive economic activities and livelihoods, creating decent jobs, especially for our young population. Thirdly, ensure sustainable emergency relief as described earlier. Fourthly, restore basic services including electricity, water, health, and education. And last but not least is access and movement. Our mandate is simple, President. Step by step, to build the foundation for lasting peace, dignity, and prosperity for the people of Gaza. And this is where we count on your continued leadership and support. Blessed the peacemaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Nick Mladenov.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank you, Mr. President. Today, we're very happy to announce that we're creating the Office of the High Representative for Gaza of the Board of Peace, which will be there to support, to guide, and assist the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, hopefully removing the roadblocks that they will be facing in taking over civilian and administrative control of the Gaza Strip. We plan to work in full transparency under the guidelines of and supervision of the Board of Peace and the Executive Board, and of course we will do that in great coordination with the Israel and with the Palestinian institutions, who we both require to make this work on the ground, and certainly with my very good colleague here, General Jefferson, the International Stabilization Force that is coming together. Mr. President, if I can actually use the opportunity to announce some breaking news that as of this morning, we started the process of recruiting Palestinian police force that Ali was just referring to. And just in the first few hours, we have 2,000 people who have applied to join a new transitional Palestinian police force to be formed in Gaza under the authority of the National Committee with the support of the Board of Peace, trained in Egypt, where we have received an excellent proposal of how to do that forward, and this is critical to what we need to do as we begin this process. And if we may move to the second slide. It is this Palestinian security force under the authority of the National Committee for the Transition Period that will allow us to ensure that all factions in Gaza are dismantled and all weapons are put under the control of one civilian authority. The only way to do that is the full implementation of the 20-point plan and the UN Security Council resolution, which binds us all to make sure that that is the way forward. We have now a fully agreed framework with the mediators on how to do this, and I thank very much the state of Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey for their excellent support in this. We now need to move forward on communicating it and negotiating the details of the implementation plan with the factions on the ground. But rest assured to all of you that we're on the right track, and if I can ask one thing of all of us, is to make sure that we have one message. There is no other option except the full demilitarization and decommissioning of all weapons in Gaza for reconstruction to begin and for people to have a new way of life going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick, and congratulations. Now, Major General Jasper Jeffers.
Thank you, Caroline, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here today as the ISF commander. The ISF will do two things: stabilize the security environment in Gaza and enable civilian governance as established by the National Committee. For the last few months, we've had a team on the ground of U.S. military experts preparing the infrastructure for the ISF. This team's already operating from a combined joint operations center that's going to be the headquarters for the entire ISF. As you can see on our map, Our plan is for the ISF to be assigned in 5 different sectors, each sector receiving 1 ISF brigade. In the short term, we plan to deploy to the Rafah sector first, in addition to the training of police. Midterm objective is to continue to expand sector by sector, all moving to our long-term 12,000 police and 20,000 ISF soldiers. I'm incredibly pleased to announce today that the first 5 countries have committed troops to serve in the ISF: Indonesia, Morocco, Kazakhstan, Kosovo, and Albania. And 2 countries have committed to train police: Egypt and Jordan. I would also like to announce that I have offered and Indonesia has accepted the position of Deputy Commander for the ISF. With these first steps, we will help bring the security that Gaza needs for our future prosperity and enduring peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Major General. Mr. Tony Blair.
For decades, Gaza's governance has been characterized by extremism, corruption, ineffective institutions, and the complete absence of a route to prosperity for the Gazan people. Yet, as President Trump recognized, its potential has always been vast. 25 miles of Mediterranean coastline, proximity to great regional and global markets, and a young, dynamic population with a median age of 19. So today we set out profound changes necessary to rebuild Gaza for Gazans. Gaza not as it was, but as it should be, including its governance. Effective public institutions serving the people, a business environment where enterprise flourishes, an education system educating the young for tolerance and achievement, and a tech-enabled society making the most of the digital revolution. This is a vision of Gaza as part of a Middle East at peace. Not a phony piece of declarations no one means and agreements no one intends to keep, but a genuine commitment to a region where, whether you're a Muslim, Jew, Christian, of any faith or none, you can rise by your own efforts and feel your government by your side, not on your back. That is the vision behind President Trump's 20-point plan for Gaza, and it remains the best, indeed the only hope for Gaza, the region, and the wider world.
Thank you. Mr. Yakir Gabay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Mr. President. Gaza is destroyed. We assembled here on this historic day with common vision to rebuild Gaza for the next generations. Our mission is to recycle and remove 70 million tons of rubble and UXO and hundreds of miles of tunnels, arrange for the population fast temporary housing, in parallel to start construction of infrastructure and permanent housing. We have a detailed master plan for housing and infrastructure of modern schools and hospitals, manufacturing and agriculture, roads and trains, water and energy plants, logistic hubs, telecom, tech and data centers, sports and leisure facilities, seaport and airport, and much more. We lined up many regional contractors who build housing for millions of people in the Middle East. They will join the massive redevelopment with competitive pricing. The funding is ready and will be invested in a free economy. The local population will build their own cities, which will create hundreds of thousands of jobs and will revive the economy. The Gaza coastline is 26 miles long. It can be developed as a new Mediterranean Riviera with 200 hotels and potential islands. The value goes to the Gazans through the Gaza Sovereign Fund. This plan is all subject to a full disarmament of Hamas. Thank you very much. Together we will make this vision into a reality.
Thank you. Mr. Liren Tanmin.
When we asked the NCAG what Gaza needs to unlock its potential, the answer was clear. Reconnect Gaza to the world, digitally and economically, and replace corruption with an open, tax-free system. Gaza was once a vital trade hub between Asia and Europe. Reconnection is a return to its roots. Even the word gauze comes from Gaza, where silk was woven and exported to Europe. So, we brought together Palestinian, Arab, and American partners to deliver practical solutions. By July, Gaza's 2G network will be upgraded with free, high-speed access to essential services. The NCAG is building a secure digital backbone, an open platform, enabling e-payments, financial services, e-learning, and healthcare with user control over data. This effort is supported by our regional partners, and I believe you will hear some exciting news from them on that later today. In parallel, we're advancing an Amazon-like logistics system to help Palestinian launch businesses import globally and trade securely. This will lower prices, drive growth, and help transform Gaza into an open, transparent, corruption-free economic zone. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mark Rowan.
Mr. President, distinguished leaders, the goal is simple. Take the momentum all of you have provided and build it into something that is not just temporary relief, but something that provides a long-term foundation that will enable many of the goals we've spoken about today to be achieved. We plan to do this by gathering Gaza's productive assets in one unified structure. This will allow independent, professional, conflict-free management of the resources to benefit the Gazans. This will also enable expeditious planning and zoning and not fragmented projects that do not contribute to an economic whole. The potential here is tremendous, but it has to start somewhere. The start is in Rafah, where, as you heard, that will be the first place security is deployed. The plan is 100,000 homes for 500,000 residents plus $5 billion of infrastructure. Over time, 400,000 homes for the entirety of the population with more than $30 billion of infrastructure. Let me put it in financial terms. This is not a problem of money or collateral. This is a problem of peace. The coastline alone, $50 billion of value on a conservative basis. The housing stock, more than $30 billion as rebuilt. The infrastructure, more than $30 billion. $115 billion of value. It just needs to be unlocked and financed.
Great. Thank you.
All right, watching Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to take about a 2-minute break, but we'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Impact News right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to head over to Washington, D.C., where the Board of Peace event is happening. Lots of different countries speaking. So let's take a listen into this.
Together, and we really report on what our challenges are, what the opportunities are, and what are the approaches. What you've seen today is just a small sample of the work that's been done, and I really want to thank the entire team that's worked so hard at this. A lot of these people are volunteers. They're doing this not for any personal gain. People are not personally profiting from this. They are really doing this for their children and for their grandchildren, and because they want to see peace. One small anecdote is Liran said to me, "Are you sure I should be presenting? I'm a Jewish Israeli and I'm working on Gaza and all these things." And I said, "That's exactly why you should be presenting today. If Jews and Muslims work together, Israelis and Palestinians with Americans and English and Bulgarian and people from all around the world, then we can kind of join on a common goal, which is peace and togetherness." And that's really what we've done. I want to thank President Trump. I remember working with you on your first foreign policy speech in 2016 that you gave at the Mayflower Hotel. And at the time, those ideas were considered to be very, very radical. What I saw as somebody who didn't have any foreign policy experience were just common sense ideas. Why can't the world be better? Why can't there be peace? Why can't there be more prosperity for all people in all ways? And I think over the last decade, you really have changed the way that the world thinks about a lot of these things. And I think that this organization is bringing a new approach and new ideas and new people together in order to effectuate it. I'd really like to thank all the countries that joined on very early. I see this as a very self-selecting group of countries that really believe that the future can be different and wanted to join in partnership and put their reputations and their resources and their time and their ideas on the way to say, these are the challenges we're putting into that we're solving in our own countries. We want to come with new ideas because we've achieved success and we believe that the world can be better in that regard. So I don't have to go through these slides in great detail, but we've secured today, even without the president's, amazing commitment, over $7 billion. As Mark said, we don't really have a resource issue here, although we are going to need everyone's support. We just need to be executing and doing this in a good way. We've dealt with the humanitarian issue. We've returned the hostages. But the one final thing I just want to talk about as well from our perspective is that the President Trump in his heart wanted to get the hostages home, but he also really wanted to help the people of Gaza. He saw the suffering that they were enduring, not through fault of their own, because of the bad leadership that they had, the situation they were born into. The war was a horrific, horrific situation. And I think through this process, thanks to Ali and the committee, we are now here to fully support the committee. We are here to help the people of Gaza, to lift them up and give them every opportunity to succeed. And we really see this as a partnership with them and with the Israelis to see if we can create an environment that can be peaceful, that can be functional, that can offer people the opportunity to really live a better life. And I think you've seen some of the work today, and hopefully we'll be successful. Like I said, the last one, failure is not an option, and we have to really push forward and keep finding ways to succeed with this. So really thank you, President Trump, Vice President Vance, and Secretary Rubio, and obviously Steve, who's been, like he said about me, I feel just about him. Working through all these challenges has been an absolute honor and a pleasure with you, and I've really been very lucky to have your partnership. So really thank you all, and I'll give back to Caroline. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared.
The war Hamas began has left. The war Hamas began has left Gaza in ruins. Yet from these ruins, a new future will rise. President Donald Trump unparalleled achievements in just a few months. The United States, together with key regional and global partners, has signed the 20-point Gaza Peace Plan, a blueprint for security, peace, and prosperity. All the hostages returned, the living ones to their homes and the deceased to burial. Ceasefire is stable, and the killings from both sides reduced by 99%. The United Nations Security Council approved the establishment of the Board of Peace chaired by President Donald Trump, a governing body dedicated to providing security, infrastructure, and homes for Gaza's people, ushering in the new dawn for Gaza. The new Palestinian Technocratic Government of Gaza, the NCAG, was elected with consent of all parties, including the Palestinian factions, Israel, and the Arab countries. Rafah border crossing with Egypt was open. The NCAG will secure the disarmament of Gaza to ensure one authority, one law, and one weapon. The United States and its partners, in coordination with the World Bank, are pledging billions of dollars to rebuild Gaza. Safe areas are being established in Rafah and later across the Gaza Strip, where families can receive shelter, food, health care, and education. In Rafah, Gazans will build their first new city. The NCAG, with the Board of Peace, will expand development across the entire Strip, employing hundreds of thousands in reconstruction and business activity. Transportation, water, and energy systems will be restored, and a modern economy will begin to emerge. Children will return to classrooms with a curriculum that promotes tolerance, dignity, and peace. Our goal by year 3, Rafah fully rebuilt, unemployment curbed, and Gaza connected to the world through an Abrahamic gateway, linking it with Egypt, Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and extending to India and Europe. By year 10, Gaza will be self-governed, integrated into the region with thriving industries and housing for all. This is the framework for Gaza's rebirth: secure, prosperous, and peaceful.
It's amazing.
Board of Peace event, they are still going on. And right now they were talking about Gaza and what their plans were to hopefully make it a peaceful area. But we're going to take a break right here on Live Impact News. Coming up at 11 o'clock, you're going to see Jane Monreal. She's going to be giving you local headlines on the 11 o'clock news. So stay right here on WCNC Plus.